All right, good morning, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me. Just say hello if you can.
Yeah, good morning, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kunle. Mark, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly, ma'am.
All right, that's fine. So I'm just going to go straight into the session today. First of all, I want to welcome everyone who is here on all the platforms. So we have people on Instagram, YouTube, and then Zoom. So I want to welcome you all for signing up for the conference. It's a 2-day conference, and we're kicking off today with this topic. As you can see, please, can you see my screen? I know IG and YouTube, I think YouTube can see it, but IG may not be able to see my screen.
I can see your screen.
All right, that's fine. Thank you. So we are talking about this major topic today, and it's all in a bid to sensitize or to help every participant to boost their finances. So that's the theme of the conference. To boost something is actually to push it or to give it and to increase it. All right, to apply force to increase it or expand it or enlarge it. So this conference has that one goal to help you boost your finances as we approach the end of the year, and particularly as we enter into the new year. So the topic says for today, says becoming or living debt-free, a key to thriving in difficult times. Becoming or living debt-free, a key to thriving in difficult times. There is no doubt that we are in a challenging economic time in the world at large. So it's important that we begin to look at aspects of our finance and how we can buffer some of the impact of these things going on in the world so that we can create wealth. No doubt financial freedom is possible and all of that, but just a moment, please. All right, so no doubt that financial freedom is possible, and there are principles to wealth creation, which are the things that we're going to be looking at in this class today. So if you look at my screen, or if you're on Instagram, please pay attention. The first topic you see there is a booming financial trend in Nigeria, a booming financial trend in Nigeria. And then the next thing, all these other topics are actually subtopics under a particular topic at the end of the class that I want us to discuss. So basically, we're going to look at trends, what's going on in the economy, particularly when you look at the credit industry and how this affects us as Nigerians and individuals, both in our personal finance and in business. All right, so those are the basic things we'll be focusing on in this conference. Of course, tomorrow's topic will be different, but basically that's the focus for today. So I want to point something out to us. In Nigeria today, microfinance banks record 82% boom in lending in 2020. We don't know what it is this year yet because, of course, the year has not ended. But this says that microfinance bank record 82% boom in lending in 2020. So I'm just going to read a few things to us. Please pay attention. It's important that we read these things so we can understand what exactly is going on. As of 2018, total microfinance loans to the private sector was 250 billion. This has now doubled in 2 years due to improved technology, easier processing of loans, better loan recovery methods, and increased competition, and a growing class of employees with an appetite for short-term credits. This is what is going on. Requests for bank loans spiked amidst the COVID-19 lockdowns as employees seek alternative funding, to meet immediate expenditure. Most of the borrowings often occurred over the use of mobile phones or simple email exchanges, right, between borrowers and their microfinance banks. All right, rent money, Page Finance, VFG have focused most of their lending on employees who only need to provide evidence of steady salaries and working for structured organizations. So this is the current trend that we have today. Microfinance banks record 82% boom in lending in 2020 alone. I really don't know what it will be this year, but interestingly, this statistic is a bit funny because in America, the lending, the credit, use of credit actually went down during COVID, but that's not the case with Nigeria. So it also tells us that our case is different in Nigeria. So in Nigeria, in America, lending actually reduced. It dropped drastically during COVID because there wasn't really need to spend. But in Nigeria, microfinance banks recorded 82% boom in lending in 2020. Don't forget, the topic is becoming or living debt-free, a key to thriving in difficult economic times. All right, so I want to welcome everyone joining me on Instagram and YouTube, and then of course, Zoom. All right, so moving on, I want to show you another interesting statistics. So this is fair money. When we're looking at credit, we need to analyze a lot of these loan companies to see exactly how they're doing and what's going on. So fair money, a popular one that we have in Nigeria today, actually last year, they disbursed a total loan of $93 million. $93 million, representing a 128% increase from 2019 and a staggering 3,189% growth rate for its first year of operation in 2018. So as it stands, the company is projecting $300 million loan disbursement volume by end of 2021. One loan company. This is a projection. Please come with me. All right, so this is Carbon. Carbon is very popular. They're major today. Started in 2012 as there was an old name they had, and then they rebranded and all of that. So for its lending arm, disbursement volume was 25 billion in 2020. 25 billion naira in 2020. One financial institution who is into lending. All right, so I showed us this interesting statistics because it's a build-up. So I want you to follow me. I want you to see what is going on in the industry, right? So what are the features of some of these loans that they give out, all these companies? So imagine their turnover, imagine the growth rate that they're projecting. A company who started in 2018, a growth rate of 3,100 or something percent just in 2 years. So the features of these loans they give include collateral-free loans. I think this is a major catch because what we've had before is a situation where they want your father's birth certificate before they give you any loan. So this is one of the problems that these loan companies identified and they plugged into to leverage. Right, so we could say that this is the problem that they are solving. Another feature of these quick loans is interest rates, which ranges from 2% to 5% per month. 2% to 5% per month. In other words, annually you have an average range, because some of them do over 5%, you have an average range of 24% per annum, which still is manageable, up to 65%, which is ridiculous. Nobody or business can survive with such interest rates. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you some things from wealthy people who make comments as, if you have a loan of 18%, you are never going to build wealth. And this is 24 to 65%. Please come with me. All right, so what is the highlight of some of these loans? Easy access. I mentioned it earlier. So it's collateral free. Those are the things they push at people. And then it's instant access. I remember a client who had booked a session with me, who was on the way to me, just decided to stop at her bank and find out how she could get a loan, because one of the things she wanted to come and discuss with me was that she needed to get a loan for an investment in Forex. So she just decided, let me stop at the bank, make inquiries as to how I can access a loan. She entered the bank. On her commute to my office, which is about 15 minutes, she stopped at the bank, booked for a loan, and before she got to my office, she got the alert for her credits. Because all they need to do is to assess your transaction history and tell you what you're qualified for, apply, sign off on it, and then you get the loan. Instantly, she got the loan. So there's instant access to loans everywhere today. And then there's a few of the catches are comfortable loans from your phone. So she had to even go into the bank because it's a commercial bank. But if you're using some of these quick loan companies today, you don't even need to know them. They don't need to see you. All they need is some basic information. And I'm going to talk about how they do that. And then you can access loans from the comfort of your phone. Meet your emergencies without stress, right? So they use emergency as a catch. So they say, if you have an emergency, we're there for you. Another catch they have is this collateral free. I mentioned that. And then you can meet your needs sharply. Now, I want you to take note of the word emergency. And I also want you to take note of the word needs. Please take note of those two words and hold on to them, as I'm going to be talking about them shortly. All right, so what's the big concept about the quick loan company? What exactly is going on? What they have done is they saw a problem and decided to fix it, right? Just like we say that when you want to make money today, all you need to do is to identify a problem and solve it, right? So you identify a problem and create a solution for it. I found out that a lot of people can easily identify a problem, but when it comes to creating a solution, it becomes a hard job for many people, right? So they have been able to identify a problem and they decided that, okay, you know what, we're going to fix this problem. I'm going to tell you how they function. We're going to fix this problem. And guess what is going on? They are cashing in big time. I showed you the earlier statistics so you could see what is going on. Microfinance banks, quick loan companies, look at the growth rate in their businesses in only 2 years, 3,000% growth rate. Why? Because they're lending money. And they're not just lending money, they're lending money fast, they're lending money quick, and it's collateral free. So it's easy for users, and then they are spiraling in growth. So stringent documentation, which has been the major problem with commercial banks and which has discouraged lending over the years, has now been solved, right? If you agree with me, please say yes in the comments. I need to be sure that you're following me. If you agree with me, please say yes in the comments. All right, Yovik.
Yes, we're hearing you well.
All right, thank you. Okay, so having said that, let's move on. All right, so this is it. If this is good, what is MoneyWise's problem? They saw a problem, they solved the problem. What exactly is wrong? So the question I have for you is, do you think the loan companies or the credit system in Nigeria today is enriching Nigerians or impoverishing them? Please leave your comments for me. Do you think the quick loan system is enriching lives or impoverishing people? I'm waiting for our responses. Let's just share your view with me, okay? I have in the chat here, someone says it's impoverishing people. Any other view? Any other view? Instagram, YouTube? Do you think the loan system is enriching lives based on what we've seen so far, or they are impoverishing people? What do you think? Okay, impoverishing people. Thank you. It's seriously actually solving emergencies with a subtle way of impoverishing people. Precious Aduo, thank you. If not managed properly, will impoverish people. Okay, awesome. It's impoverishing people. Okay, I will agree with those who said if not managed properly, it will impoverish people, because the essence of this class is not just to paint a negative picture about the quick loan system in the country, but how the problem is actually not with the loan system. That's not the problem. It's never been with them and it's not going to be. The problem is the gap in financial education. Now, what financial education does, it equips you with information and knowledge as to how to use loans. So if you know how to use loans, when to use it, because timing is part of it, when to use it, you probably will leverage what's going on today. All right, it's impoverishing people with quick fix financial routes with long-term adverse effects. I agree with you, the church hub. That is correct. I agree with you, because I was going to get there. One of the impacts of the loans, of this quick loan system, is the problem with the fact that it is quick. All right, and we're going to get there. So because what we're going to do is to put a balance to this whole thing so that you leave this conference actually empowered to go and boost your finances by using credit appropriately. All right, so the question, we've been able to answer the question. I want to appreciate everyone who has contributed by responding to my question. All right, so let's go to where this whole thing started from. All right, because most of the things we do in Nigeria, you will agree with me, has external influences, right? Please say yes if you agree with me. Most of the decisions or the economic realities you see in Nigeria today has external influences from America, from Europe, from the UK, and all of these other countries who are perceived or who are first, they call them the first world and all of that. All right, so thank you for your responses. All right, so in America, where this is coming from, let's see some figures. All right, let's just look briefly at some of their figures. I'm going to read it to the audience on IGs. Unfortunately, IG does not allow you to share your slides and all yet. So I am sure they will develop the technology to that level. So I'll just be reading to you. Now, studies show that shoppers with credit cards are willing to spend more on items, checkouts with bigger baskets, and focus on and remember more product benefits than costs. Studies show that people who use credit, who are majorly shoppers, because what we see in Nigeria today is a quick loan system. But have you thought about where we are in 2-3 years' time? As a matter of fact, it's already started this year, those sorts, but from next year, you're going to see a spiraling effect of that. Studies show that, and I'm talking about credit cards. So this time, they may not just credit your account, they credit your account, and they allow, before they credit your account, you must get a credit card from them. All right, so you can also use the ATM and all of those things. All right, so studies show that shoppers with credit cards are willing to spend more on items. In other words, people who have access to credit are willing to spend more on items. They check out with bigger baskets and are focused more on the products. They remember the products more than the money they're spending on them. That's one study. Another study says the average credit card debt of US families is $6,000. 270 naira dollars, sorry, $6,270. The average credit card of US families is $6,000. Please, $6,000. How much is that today? Anyone can help. That's the average credit for consumer credit. All right. While I
About
wait,
3.2 million.
that's about
3.2 million.
All right, thank you. Only that's about 3.2 million naira. Each person carries that, all right? So next point. In the first quarter of 2021, according to a Nielsen report, credit cards generated $37.74 billion in purchase volume, an increase, $37.74 billion. I'll need a scribe on IG, someone who to type in what I'm saying as fast as possible. $37.74 billion in purchase volume, an increase of 11.1%, the biggest increase of any credit card networks. Visa credit card purchase volume was $500 billion, an increase of 1.6%. Purchase volume on Master credit cards was $219 billion, up by 1.4%. Wrap your head around these figures. And guess what? One of the things I noticed in this research is that none of them has gone down. It's been an increase from year on year, increase. No drop in the loaning system, no drop. Please take note of that. Credit card debt was the most widely held type of debt as of 2019. Credit card debt was the most widely held. I am discussing the statistics in America today, right now, where I believe that this whole thing about credit in Nigeria comes from. Because you see, what happens is I go to the first world, I see business opportunities, and I bring it to my country because it's untapped here. So whatever, because they're first world, they tend to move faster than us in some areas. So we go there to pick things and then come and do it here. All right, so that's where this whole thing came from. We actually imported credit card from them, the loaning industry. All right, so credit card, that even in the final, even though in banking there is loan, there is all of that, but when it comes to quick loans and all of that, the trend came from there. Credit card was the most widely held type of debt as of 2019. The Federal Reserve also reported that credit card debt was the most widely held type of debt, with more than 45% of families reporting a credit card balance after their last payment. What this means is this: they've not been able to finish paying. So they don't nail it off every time. In fact, I just don't know if it's here. There was another research that shows that most American families are going to be in debt for up to 18 years before they can pay back their credit card debt. You know why? The moment you get on credit route, you will consistently go on that route. It's a lot of money. The moment you get on the part of debt, you will continue to attract it. Doesn't mean it is bad, no. When you don't know how to use it properly, it becomes bad. What should be an advantage becomes a disadvantage. So most of them have not been able to kneel off their, they've not been able to kneel off their credit balance since they got on the credit pathway. All right, so here is what the wealthy in America have to say about the credit industry. This is not exhaustive because, I couldn't bring all of them here, but I picked a few of them just to let us see. So unfortunately, you can't see, like I say, on IG, but the YouTube audience and the Zoom audience are seeing this. Self-made billionaire Mark Cuban has advice for those looking to build wealth. And this is his advice. If you don't know, Mark Cuban is a media personality and he has a net worth that is estimated as $4.3 billion. So I think he has a right to speak. Yeah, so this is the advice for you if you're looking to build wealth. He says, don't use credit cards. Don't use credit cards. Cut off your credit cards. If you use a credit card, you don't want to be rich. That is his stance. It's a personal opinion, but he's wealthy. So I just thought, let's hear what they have to say. All right, so he wrote that in his blog sometime in 2008. 2008, that's to tell you it's not about today. And what is the level of credit as at that time? All right, so the first step, he says, to getting rich requires what? Discipline. It requires what? Discipline. So moving on, let's see someone else. This is Robert Kiyosaki, who has a net worth of $100 million. And this is what he says. When I was young, people lived paycheck to paycheck. But now it seems people live credit card to credit card. When I was young, people lived paycheck to paycheck. I'm sure you've heard the phrase paycheck to paycheck, which means every time your salary does your check, you survive based on your you survive based on your paycheck. If you don't pay, there's a problem, which is still okay for me because it is what you earn that you're spending. It's not the best route, but at least you're not owing. But in today, people live credit card to credit card. People leave credit card. Architect Mandela, you moved from IG instantly to YouTube, to Zoom. So people leave from credit card to credit card. That is his view. A lot of people are switching from IG because I said they can't see. All right, so let's see this next person whom we all know very well. His name is Warren Buffett, and he has a net worth, an alarming net worth. I love the figure, so please permit me to use some sort of tush English as I pronounce the figure. It's $104.9 billion. All right, so he has a right to say something. He says he warns against carrying a credit card balance. You can't go through life borrowing money at those rates. So in other words, when you hear balance, what it means is get a credit card, no problem, but make sure you need it off every time. Because you know, in the American economy, you need some credit history and blah, blah, blah. Even though my major mentor, Dave Ramsey, says you can do all of the things they think you can't do without credit, like getting a home, buying a car, building your credit. It seems to be a major issue for them over there. So some people believe you can do without a credit score, others don't. But Warren Buffett says, even if you need to have your credit score, he says you can't go through life borrowing at those rates. Guess what their rate in America is on the average? 16% to 18%. In Nigeria, we're talking about 24 to 65%. All right, so you can't go through life borrowing. In fact, it warns against carrying the balance. Once you take it, just to break it, nail it off because you should have the money to pay. That's what that means. You only carry the balance because your income can't pay for what you're spending. You will not carry a balance because you can afford to have a credit card and nail it off. Please let me know if you are getting my drift here. I need comments in the, I need you to make a comment in the box, in the comments section. Are you getting my drift? Are we together on this journey? All right, so I see, okay, thank you very much. On Zoom, I'm getting the response, thank you. Okay, so this is Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey, oh, sorry, I moved on before time. Dave Ramsey is my business mentor by all standards. So there was no way I could do this slide without bringing him here. His net worth is $200 million as we speak today. All right, so thank you for your comments. All right, so he says that our state of personal finance study found that 86% of Americans have a credit card. Please don't feel uncomfortable if you're just joining in and we're talking about America. All right, because the tendency is there for you to say, this is Nigeria, why are you talking about America? We started with Nigeria, and then we're trying to look at where this thing that is going on in Nigeria came from, where they are, what's going on with them. That's why we're talking about America. So it's that 86% of America have a credit card. 86% of Americans have a credit card. But on the flip side, 56% of Americans in debt wish they had better education before taking that debt on. They wish that they had better education before taking that debt on. In other words, people who get into debt mostly get into it for the wrong reasons, because they just don't know what to do. They think it's the only way out. They think this is the solution. So they go ahead to get all of this credit. All right. So he's saying that 56% of the people who have credit card are wishing that I knew better. I wouldn't have taken it because you see, for 18 years onwards, they are in debt. Some people left college 10 years ago and they're still paying it till today. All right, so this is the current trend in America today. This is what is going on with the industry. So why all this maturity? Why all this analysis about America when I'm in Nigeria? Well, I felt like saying brothers and sisters in Christ. I actually almost said that. But I think it's okay for me to say brothers and sisters, men and brethren, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so this is where Nigeria is heading for in the next few years, starting 2022. This right here, all that we saw earlier is where we're going. Please, if you have questions, start leaving them so that you don't forget them. Leave them in the chat boxes and we'll take them when it is time. Okay? This is where Nigeria is going to. A situation where 86% of our population will have credit cards. A situation where 56% of them will say, I wish I knew better. A life of regret, a life of pain, a life of poverty, because you see, what mostly this would do is to impoverish people. All right, so this is what Nigeria is heading for. If you were not thinking about this, it is time to wake up and smell the coffee. Credit cards will become very popular in Nigeria very soon. Because you see, those loaning companies are going to look for different ways to make money. Why do we have cards? They decided that instead of me crediting your account and then you go ahead to spend it and enrich another company, I will issue my own credit card. Those cards are not for free. 1,000 naira here, 500 naira here. When I was at the bank, I remember how much the bank made from issuing out debit cards and credit cards to customers. So these cards don't come for free. So this is the onward trend. A loan company like Carbon already have a credit card that they give out to their clients. So this is a trend that you need to watch out for in Nigeria in the next few years, starting 2022. In fact, with the rate of money in that industry, I'm beginning to consider going into it. With the rate of money they are making and the speed of growth, I am honestly beginning to consider the industry. So if you're just joining me, unfortunately, I can't start typing it on IG anymore, but if you're just joining me, today we have a 2-day conference going on. It's called the Maximize Conference. And the focus, we have different topics, but for today, the focus is becoming or living debt-free, the key to thriving in poor economic times or difficult economic times. Becoming or living debt-free, your key to thriving in tough economic times. And we've looked at the Nigerian credit industry today, a summary of it, how the microfinance industry today boomed so much in 2020 during COVID. And all other loan companies, Carbon has given out 25 billion naira in loans this year. Other companies like that, you see them in hundreds of loans. Fair Money, for example, has a target of $300 million of loans to give out this year. This trend is here to stay. That's the bottom line, because you see, what will happen is they're going to keep evolving with different strategies to get your money. Now, imagine a company who gives you 5 million naira this year, and you at 50%, because the average interest rate is between 2% to 5% per month. So if you check that out, it's about 60% per annum. So let's say 50%. It means that if you divide that by the law of 72, the law of 72 say, if you want to double your money, right, your investment, to know the number of years it will take to double your money, all you need to do is to divide 72 by the interest rate you get. So if they give you 5 million for 50%, at 50%, divide 72 by 50%, that's 1 point something, right? That's about 1.4, 1 year, 4 months. So in 1 year, 4 months, that loan company that gave you 5 million would have earned 10 million from you, would have earned an extra 5 million from you, which makes it 10 million. That's what you pay back at 50% in just 1 year, 4 months. Is like 12 plus 4, 16 months. They double the money from you. So if they give that loan to 10 people, imagine what they have made in less than 2 months. All right. So when we begin to analyze the industry and how these companies, the same thing, if you get an investment that will pay you 50%, you double your money in less than 2 years. All right, that's how you calculate the number of years. So if you begin to look at the industry, you see that so much is going on, and it is important if we're going to build wealth at all for us to know these things. All right, so now this is the concern. If you're just joining me, this is the concern. The people on YouTube, I'm sure you can see my slide. Credit cards, okay. So this is the concern, because MoneyWise is set up to equip you with the needed education that will help you build wealth. That's our primary goal as a company. So why are we concerned about this trend in the credit card industry or the credit loaning industry in Nigeria? That's because there are laws of wealth. There are principles with which wealth is created. They're called laws of money. A lot of them, different school of thoughts as to the different kinds of laws that guide wealth creation and all of that. So, and these laws are statutes of general application. What does it mean? If my grandfather used it or great-grandfather applied it, I, Tonya Lassie, would still have to apply them because they don't change. All right, so the dynamics of uses may change with the advent of technology and a new world of economy, like you have the the DIG economy and all of those things. With this advent of technology and new money-making opportunity that didn't exist in the days of our forefathers and all of that, a lot of the dynamics in terms of the principles and the laws of wealth may change, but the foundational principles of wealth don't change. They don't change. So what you could have is more credit now than before. My grandfather may not have had access to any form of credit at all. So in today's world, there's more credit. So how can I leverage that to create wealth? Not how can I just get money to spend. They are two different things, because there is no way you want to create wealth using or malusing money in terms of credit, taking loans for lifestyle. There is no way you build wealth that way. This is why the wealthy people and we've seen examples of them, discourage credit. All right, so how can I use these loans to create wealth for myself? I'll give you an example. Remember I said the foundational principle doesn't change, but the application today has changed. So I have credit today. I remember when I was in bank, we had access to different kinds of loans. And the more you rise in the banking industry or in your industry where you work, the more access to loans that you have. So they give you some of those loans at maybe 0%. Yeah, and interestingly, for someone like a friend of mine, she says that the loans are 0 interest. So if you take 10 million, you don't pay any interest. All you need to do is spread it over 4 years, 5 years, and pay down. That is a great opportunity. Will MoneyWise say, no, loans are bad? No, we're going to talk about good loans and bad loans. They are not bad. That's an opportunity. So does it mean that the principle that says you can't create wealth using loans for lifestyle has changed because our world has changed? No, it remains the same. There's Bitcoin today. There's Forex today, right? All those bots and everything. Do people make money from them? Absolutely. They do make money from them, but they're high risk. So understanding the issues of risk balancing and analyzing your risk helps to solve the problem of you going into those industries and getting bonds. So what's the point here? Financial literacy and education is the reason. Same principles to apply today, And they're not going to change in the next 100 years. If Jesus tarries, they're not going to change. So what do? I apply them in a useful way. That's why when I asked the question earlier, do you think the loan system today in Nigeria is impoverishing or enriching lives? A lot of us says impoverishing. Some people said both is doing both, depending on how you use, which is the correct answer. Depending on usage, it will determine if it is enriching you or impoverishing you. Imagine that you took that loan for 5%. That still beats inflation. So you go ahead to invest it somewhere for 10%. You have enriched yourself using other people's money. That's where the power, that's what we call a good debt. That is what is called a good debt. But you take these loans at 24% to change your phone or to buy a shoe or to just shop, like we saw earlier, how people just go into the shopping mall. The people who use credit card actually come out with the fuller baskets. They come out with fuller trolleys, shopping trolleys, than those who don't. What does that say to you? They are not being prudent. They're not being disciplined because they're focusing on the benefits and the fun they enjoy from those items rather than on discipline. The person who went in with cash or a debit card knows that my limit balance in my account is 100,000. If I like, let me jump up and down. I can't spend more than that. But a credit card says you have a limit of 1 million, even though you don't earn that much. Are we seeing the difference? Please let me know in the comments. Are we getting, do you see things from my perspective? I need to know that you're with me. Okay, yes, absolutely, thank you. Thank you. All right, so let's move on then. So I mentioned the issue of wealth and about the principles of wealth. Now, this is where the loan system in Nigeria or anywhere in the world is impoverishing people. This is it. The next law that I'm going to share with you. It's called the law of time perspective. The law of time perspective. Now, this is a very major law of wealth. You can't build wealth without understanding this. There is no successful person in our world today who do not understand this. There is nobody who has created wealth, who has not had to do this, apply this principle in their finance, in their business, or whatever area they've achieved success. So let me show you where this low quick credit system might be impoverishing Nigerians today or is impoverishing them. This law states that the most successful people in any society are those who take the longest time period into consideration when making their day-to-day decisions. The most successful people are those in any society, it doesn't matter your country, it does not matter where you live. The most successful people in any society are those who take the longest time period into consideration when making their day-to-day decisions. Right now, as I'm speaking, a story just came to my memory of the Ghanaian man who went through hell and high water to get into the US, to the US. And when he came back to his country, he came back with a sack of a plant called cocoa. And when he came back, the people mocked him and said, oh, so you traveled to all these countries and this is all you came back with? Bag of seeds, ordinary seeds. That's what he came back with. Wow, interesting. They mocked him, laughed at him. He didn't mind. What did he do? He brought that seed to Ghana and planted them. And today in Ghana, they have one of the largest production of cocoa. Guess what? The last time I was in Ghana with my husband, we were in a hotel room and the guest who hosted us gave us a hamper, right? Now this hamper had all kinds of products. And guess what? None of them were manufactured outside of their country. None of them. The chocolates, the towels in the hotel room, the tissue box there, the candy bars, everything in the hamper, the biscuits, everything in the hamper were produced locally. And we were amazed and we were saying, wow, this is interesting. Why? Because one man saw ahead. One man took the longest time period into consideration when making his choice. So instead of buying clothes for his children when he was coming back, or shoes or shopping for himself, he bought seeds and came back with them. And today that country is wealthier for it because of that one decision. Wealthy people, the most successful people in any society, are those who take the longest time period into consideration when making their day-to-day choices. How does that affect your finance? Well, the time you decided to buy those shoes, instead of investing those 500,000, you already impoverished yourself. Instead of buying shoes, if you had invested the 500,000 you got 5 years ago, imagine what that money will be today. Every time you don't take the longest time perspective into your day-to-day financial choices, you will not build wealth. You will gratify instant desires. You will not delay gratification. Interestingly, this law is where the whole concept of delayed gratification came out from. That ability to say no now for later. You deny yourself today and say, you know what, I'm just going to be disciplined today for tomorrow's sake. These things that I don't have right now, I will have them later. Guess what? When people get wealthy, they wear a white polo, plain. And because they don't really see the need for expensive things. By the time you get wealthy, you find out that that's not really what defines who you are. So it won't matter if you're wearing a $5 t-shirt, you will still feel wealthy and really be wealthy. Some people wear a $1,000 top t-shirt and they don't have any money. Some wear a $5 t-shirt and they have money because they found out that that's not really what defines whether you're wealthy or not. What you have in the bank, yes. What your assets are, yes, not what you wear or what you drive. So how does this tie into the quick loan and credit industry? Well, the credit industry that we have today encourages you to, because you lost your phone, please just take loans to get another phone at an interest. I was reading something online where one person was lamenting. He collected, I think, 15,000 naira for his wedding, and he paid back an interest of almost 4,000 in only 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I didn't even want to, just imagine the percentage of 4,000 to 15,000. That's well close to 30% in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I've been in several situations where people who are in my investment club or consulting me have had to ask, should I take this loan? And when they insist, I actually do link them with where they will get loans. And they come back, to say, you know what, the interest rate is killing, because some microfinance bank will charge you 10% per month. And guess what? The month does not matter. If it is 3 days to the end of the month, that is the month. It is not your own cycle. You don't determine that because they have to close the books. So where every time you go and collect loans for your wedding, that's you impoverishing yourself. That's you not denying yourself now for tomorrow. So this is where they impoverish people. Did we get that? I need your comments. And is this hitting home? Please give me feedbacks. So you haven't met that successful person who does not think long term. Imagine that there's a quote that I always love to say it. Rich people think 3 generations. Poor people think Saturday nights. What's the difference? Long-term thinking. Someone is thinking, let me create wealth for my generation. You are thinking, let me create wealth. Let me spend money now. It doesn't matter whether my children are successful tomorrow or not. That's their wala. Let me just enjoy my life right now. That's short-term thinking. Or there's a need now. There's just this need. I need to meet the need right now. Blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But why somebody says, you know what, this thing is not going to kill me, whether I have it or not. Let me be careful, because what I do today can affect the next 10 years of my life. And they pull back, look into the figures, and guess what? They always find a way out eventually. A way out. So poor people think Saturday night or Friday night, if that's the one you love. Wealthy people think generations. So your wealth creation is actually doesn't end with you alone. It continues from generation to generation. Did we get that? So moving on now, because we are almost out of our time. So I think I may have explained this. When you consider the lifetime perspective, which is a principle of wealth, as against the quick loan system we have today, which is not necessarily a principle of wealth, depending on usage, you think the long-term perspective encourages you to think long-term. Imagine that you spend what poor people do is they spend their money now. But wealthy people spend the grandchildren of their money. I always give this example to my uncle then, had a lot of money. And what he does is he brings the money, does treasury bills, then treasury bill used to give as high as 15, 16%. So when he books the money, he gets the first interest. He then rebooks that interest because it's enough to be rebooked. It is the interest on the second booking that he then tells me to credit his account to spend. Meanwhile, the moment you just hit that 1 million like this, the next thing is like shopping. Let me upgrade my life and all of that. Does this mean you shouldn't live good? No. But have you considered investments that you can put the money into? Delayed gratification is under the law of time perspective, right? And, okay, someone is, okay. Delayed gratification is under the law of time perspective. And then under this one, you have instant gratification. I love this quote by Dr. Kenneth Copeland. He says that debt is what you get into at the expense of tomorrow. But investing is what you go into in favor of tomorrow. So one is done at the expense of tomorrow. The other is done in favor for the benefit of the future. When you think long-term, which is what the law of time perspective encourages, you will preserve your capital. But if you don't, you will spend the capital and have nothing to invest. How many of you remember the story of the goose that laid the golden egg? So the man has been, 1 million is more than enough to start, sir. Too much. Another thing about this law of time perspective is, don't invest the 1 million and expect that you will build wealth by next year. 1 million is nothing to compare with the future. So don't expect that all of a sudden my 1 million will become 2 million, 3 million quickly. I was privileged to be in a meeting with the SEC DG yesterday, Malam Yuguda, and he was speaking to us about his concern. And interestingly, he has an unusual passion for financial literacy. So he was sharing with us how that the lack of education has impoverished a lot of Nigerians. A lot of people don't realize that they can build wealth, but what they are used to, because of the rate of scams and the rate of fraudulent transactions and investment opportunities going out there, people now don't have faith or trust in the proper system, which is the official system, which for wealth building. I give you a simple example. So people now think I can double 1 million in 1 month, because you see an investment opportunity come to you and say, double your 50,000 in 24 hours. So a lot of those scams have made people to lose the real virtue, which is wealth building takes time. That's why financial planning, if you love yourself and want to build wealth, is one of the things you must embrace. You must be able to zoom into 15 years, come back to today and say, how do I arrive at it? You must be able to zoom into 15 years, come back into today, and ask yourself, how do I get there? So, sir, yes, Mr. Tom, 1 million is enough to start with. So what you just need to then do is, what is my financial plan? What are the goals I want to achieve? Where do I see myself? Or what kind of investment do I see myself retire to? And how do I get there? All right, so don't spend your capital today. You need to protect your capital by thinking long term. Another thing is build wealth. Eventually, when you think long term, you will build wealth. But if you keep taking all these loans, you will never become wealthy. You will get by, you will survive. But it will end with you and the children, or your children, immediate children. Your children's children will not have inheritance. You will not leave inheritance for posterity that way. So because we now see a lot of scams, people don't know that they can create a lot of wealth on the capital markets. It just takes some time. People don't want to wait anymore. There's this rush. No, if I put in FX, in 1 month I can have $40,000. Why should I? But that's not true. Everybody who built wealth built it over time. Warren Buffett was not named the richest man in the world when he was 18 or 20 or 25. The man is over 70. So what are the next steps for the audience, benefit of the audience on Instagram? I'm going to read them out. Number one is you must understand the difference between good debts and bad debts. A good debt is debt that you get for growth. A good debt is an asset, or will create an asset for you. A bad debt is loans you go into for lifestyle, my wedding, birthday, party, children, school fees, house rent, recharge, let's say recharge card. Yeah, people buy credit, recharge card on credit. Changing my generator, changing this, all those day-to-day living things or things you need that you just feel like, okay, that's what loans are for. They are not. Hello, someone said they could meet emergency. Someone mentioned earlier that they meet emergency, blah, 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 blah. That's not true. What you're supposed to do is to prepare for emergencies. It's not to get a loan for emergencies, because that's not what they're designed for. An emergency is an emergency. Why? Because I don't know when it will happen. But can I prepare sufficiently? Yes, I can to an extent. But upon all the cries about COVID, it lasted 6 months. The question is, if you had been prepared, like some of the people on my investment club were prepared, they didn't feel the impact of COVID. They did not feel the impact of COVID. Interestingly, the people who prepared were the people who didn't lose their jobs. Can we say, could it mean that when you're a financially disciplined or literate person, you tend to attract good fortune? Because a lot of them that didn't have loans and were prepared with their emergency fund, who do the things that we teach, interestingly, didn't lose their jobs. There's something about money. When you learn to use money in a productive way, you attract more of it. So there was no way that they will lose their money, their job, because they were using money right. So, okay, to join the investment group is affordable. I'm going to talk about that at the end. So so you need to understand the difference between good debt and bad debt. Number two thing you need to understand is, now a good debt is you taking that loan at work for almost 0%. I'm going to invest it somewhere that gives you 10%. I don't care whether the inflation rate is high or not. That money was gotten at a cheap rate. You are benefiting at the end of the day, even if you got only 2% extra on it. You are benefiting. All right, so another step that we're taking now is learn why people get into debt. So if you think about it, oh, sorry about that. If you think about it, why do people get into debt? Sorry, I keep going forward. Why do people get into debt? Have you ever asked yourself why I started borrowing? It's a few things. Number one, you were not prepared for an emergency. So, because you didn't have an emergency fund, an emergency came up and you had to solve it because sometimes these emergencies can be life-threatening and you don't want to die. Nobody will encourage you to die. If you come to me and you say it's a health case and I don't have an emergency, I will tell you go and borrow money because when there's life, there is hope, right? So that's after you've exhausted the option of family and all of that, right? So one of the reasons people get into debt is a lack of preparation for emergencies. I mentioned earlier that even though it's an emergency, and the word emergency makes us feel like it is this, yeah, COVID was a major, major emergency. But people who were prepared didn't feel the impact of it. So how can I prepare for emergency? Create your emergency fund. Create your emergency fund. How do you create it? Determine your cost of living. How much do I need to survive month on month? Right now, I've lived for maybe 30 years. Maybe this year, how much have you spent monthly? Can you estimate? Go through your statement, estimate. And then if it comes to, for example, 1 million, your emergency fund should be 6 times that 1 million, which is 6 million. You then have your set that goal. For me, when I work with you, that's the first goal you have. If you didn't have it when you came to join our group, you will have to create that goal. We start to build that because it is major and fundamental because when something hits, you will need to survive. You need to solve that problem. So 6 times 1 million brings you to 6 million. You then start working to it. Some of us can put it together once. Some of us need to build it up. Some of us need to sell some things that we're not using. You've had it for so long. It's just there. Sell those things, put the money together, and have it in a next to cash investment, money market, treasury bills, and all of that. So you can access it when there is a need for it. Yeah. And then number two reason people get into debt is comparison. Comparison. Okay, Precious, I'm going to save the session. I want you to listen over and over. It's also going to be on our YouTube handle, so you find it there. And then I'll also save the Zoom video and share it on IGTV as well. So it's going to be there. All right. So number two reason people get into debt is comparison. In the world today, comparison is a major problem. You know, one day I sat down, I was looking at what you call it, Explore, IG Explore. And then, I just came into a particular celebrity. She's an actress. I had not seen her in a long time. So I just wanted to know what's up. And then I was scrolling to her page. Is it the clothes that she has? Ah, beautiful clothes, all the shoes, all the places she took the pictures, mostly outside of the country. Her life was very, very beautiful, so good, so beautiful. I just wanted, I sat down there. The YouTube channel is at MoneyWise International. The same thing with the IG at MoneyWise. See, can somebody, any of the staff, respond to some of these inquiries about YouTube or IG, how to join the sessions and all of that? All right, so a staff is going to respond to you now. So, I love their life. I'm telling you, I will not lie. Even me as a coach, I said, life can be good and all of that. I mean, I wanted the things she had and all of that. And while comparison is not bad in terms of someone else's life challenging your life, it becomes detrimental when you want to have what they have all of a sudden. I always give the example of myself when I joined the bank. I was put under a particular supervisor or head of unit that was a senior manager, a senior assistant manager at the time. And I was just an executive assistant who entered the bank. And guess what? I love the suit. I love the way she looked. I love the car. And I wanted a life. So I started with the suit and the shoes. So I will shop and shop and shop and shop and shop and shop and shop. As a matter of fact, I'll tell her to buy me suits because you didn't see her suit in town. She had rights to those suits. It was as if they're bespoke and all of that. So I loved them and I wanted to live that kind of life. But guess where I was foolish? I was just an entry-level staff, earning 90,000. This was a senior assistant manager earning almost $500,000 at the time. She was married to a honorable member in the National House of Assembly who has been in the National Assembly for 4 terms, maybe 3 terms at the time. He won again. 4 terms, House of Reps. She was dating this person. So where do I begin to compare as an obote like me coming into the industry? I knew there is no basis for comparison. That's the same thing with every one of us here. There is no basis for you to compare your life with any other person's life. I found out that the moment you start to compare, you will compete. And then from competition, you will need to get into debt. Where it starts from is when you start to compare yourself with them, you become discontent, no more contentment. And when you're not content, you want to compete. And the moment you get to compete, you will spend monies you didn't have or budgeted for. You will get into debt. That's another reason people get into debt. So I said, emergencies, lack of preparation for emergencies. Sometimes it's not emergency, basic needs. So people in today's world have reclassified their needs to become emergencies. So your child's school fees is now an emergency. Your rent, which is a need, has now become an emergency. And I'm thinking, where did this come from? Financial illiteracy. Those things are wants. They are needs, not wants or emergencies. They are different classes. And you treat them in different ways. Do you know even for your wants, you're supposed to cater to it? Wealthy people in spreading their risk or creating their investment portfolios have 3 major baskets. They have the secure basket, they have the risk basket, and they have the dreams basket, which covers your wants. What you want, they are not things that if you didn't have, you're going to die. No, they're just, I just want to take this course. I just want to go on a vacation. I just want to do this. It's different from needs. So these wealthy people, the ones we follow and we're learning from, or we want to be like, have 3 baskets. But you go ahead to say, you know what, I'm just going to go into Forex. You don't have any secure basket. You don't have any secure basket, but you're taking risks beyond your capacity. You lose all the monies and you go back to poverty. So we need to learn why people get into this. That's the number 2 thing to figure out. And I've mentioned them. Your wants, your needs, your emergencies have to be prepared for. What you do to needs is to sufficiently prepare for them, cater to them from your monthly income. What you do to needs is to sufficiently cater to them from your monthly income. What you do to wants is to plan and prepare for them. What you do to emergencies is to plan and prepare for them. Your needs must be sufficiently catered to in your day-to-day needs, from your day-to-day income, rather. Then, from that income as well, a portion of it must prepare for emergencies and wants. That's what we do to them. So if you prepare for this thing, what does that mean? You will avoid debt. You will avoid it. You will live free of it. I don't believe that you have to get into debt. All the people who borrow money for business that have reached out to me, once I put out anything, they come into my DM. They collected it for business. But all those loans are bad today. They are chasing them around the country. Does it make debt bad? No, but there is usage. What makes it bad is usage. If you use money in an unproductive way, you will lose more. If you use it in a productive way, more money will flow to you. All right, so what is the next thing? Are we getting me? Are we together? Please, I need comments. I need to know that I'm not just ranting. Because we are rounding this off in the next 30 minutes. I need to take question. I'm almost done. Please let me know in the comment section if you're with me. Okay, good. Thank you. All right. Please check this YouTube handle you put here. Okay, all right, good. So the YouTube handle for those who are asking is already is there. Please put it on also on IG so that everyone can have it. All right, so next step, pay down all bad debts. So if you have a lifestyle debt here, maybe you took it to get a phone, you took it to buy a generator, you took it to buy anything for the house, please pay it down. It should be a priority on your financial plan. I need to be debt-free. The reason is most of the interest you're paying to those companies are supposed to be the monies you use to create wealth. And there is something called the time value of money. You are busy paying loans for 18 years. Meanwhile, some other person is getting richer on your money, your hard work, your labor. I don't think it's wise. So what you want to do is to pay down all that debt. All right. Another thing is leverage loans to create wealth. I mentioned earlier an example. If you work in an organization, I need passive income. I want to make more money. I want to stop taking your internal loans to go on vacations. It's not a wise financial decision. Stop taking loans to go on a vacation. You know, we have some top management staff in my office when I worked at the bank. And what they did with their loans was their annual family vacation just to maintain a status. That is foolish decision. It's not a wise financial choice. Why? Because that same money, if invested in an investment vehicle that gives you, even if it's just double what you collected it for, it's an addition to you, plus it's not your money. So please, leverage loans to create wealth, not to create poverty. A lot of people are busy creating poverty for themselves with their wrong usage of loans. I worked with a lady sometime this year, around June or July. I could not solve her problem. What I could tell her was, you need a better job, because all the while she was earning good, she didn't save any money. COVID hit, her employer laid her off, and the next place she could turn to was these quick loan companies. She was owing 16 loan companies, 16, one human being, 16 of them. 10,000 here, 15 here, 20 here, 5 here, ridiculous figures. And I'm thinking, if you had put these savings together from your own income, you would not be in this mess. They started texting her. And recently, I got a text from one of my contacts, from one of those loan companies, on another contact who is owing them. Tell him to come and pay his loans. You go through messy, insulting situations just because you want to live some status of life that you can't afford yet. Did you know that what you can't save up for, you don't deserve it yet? Anything you can't put money together to get done, you don't deserve it yet. You have not earned it. So you need to keep building up. There is something called the law of money, accelerating acceleration. Very powerful law of money. So you see someone that has been working in the ministry for many years on that, just growing one step on the ladder. Boom, he rises to a director, becomes the permanent secretary, and he starts to make some crazy money. And you're thinking, why is a PAMSEC making so much money? No, he's paid his dues. It's called the law of accelerating acceleration. It's a build-up. Creating wealth is a build-up. So there's also the law of compounding. That same law works with this law. So if you invest 1,000, a millionaire, sorry, it gives you back 10,000. When next you're investing, you're not investing the 1 million alone. You are now investing 1 million 10,000. So that interest of 10,000 ends interest, and then the 1 million 10,000 still ends interest. And before you know it, you are compounding your interest. It's called the eighth wonder of the world. So that law states that it's only a matter of time. Just keep building up momentum. At some point, it becomes almost automated for you to build wealth. That's why it looks like the rich are getting richer, because everything they now do, they're just making money. Why? Because they attract more opportunities. They see these opportunities. They have the money to go for it already. And so they keep creating wealth. But you are there spending the capital that you should be investing. Leverage loans to create wealth, not to create poverty. Are we together? Please, if you have questions, kindly ask. Leave them in the comment section and we'll go through them. Are we together? So the next step again is, I'm rounding off. The next step is to structure your finance to support debt-free living. I mentioned earlier to us about how people get into debt. So don't forget that the topic of this conference today particularly says to become debt-free, or to live debt-free. The key to thriving financially. All right. So if you are in debt, I said to pay down quickly, right? If you are not in debt, please structure your finance to support debt-free living. You don't have to live on debt. The monies you will be paying on interest is supposed to be creating wealth for you. So why don't you avoid debt and take that money, put it in an investment vehicle over a period of time? Did you know that the secret to wealth is to put a portion of your current income in an investment vehicle consistently for a period of time, say 10 years? You will create wealth. Take a portion of your current income, put it in an investment vehicle consistently over a period of time. You will build wealth. That's what financial planning is about. If it's not working, they will not say people should use it. It is working. So structure your finance to support debt-free living. How? Live on a plan. Have a monthly budget, particularly if you know your income. If you don't know your income, it's not consistent. Have a plan, and then when the money comes, you execute the ones that are priority. The reason I say that is because if you don't have a plan, you will always spend all your money on things that are not your priority. Your priority for some of the fixed expenses you have, for example, are school fees, accommodation. You have to structure your finance to cater to those things. I used to have some customers then. And once it is January like this, you must get their call. Even if they had not called me for months, that January, they must call. But this is what my bank is made for now. This is why I have my financial institution now. To give me loans when I need it. This is school fees season. Everybody knows that things are tough. I need bank, blah, 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 blah. That's not true. That is the height of your responsibility. And interestingly, these are people who are in government and you expect them to know better. That's not true. Your banks are not there to give you loans to squander it on things that you should have planned for, like school fees and rent. That's not what they are there for. Please, it is wrong. School fees, rent, wedding, birthdays. These things are not emergencies. They give you a whole year's notice, minimum. All you do is to prepare for them. Cater to them within your income. And then your emergency, you prepare for it by building your emergency fund to up to 6 months. Once you can put this structure in place in your finance, next year, and even as this year rounds off, make sure you structure that thing this year. Next year, we're going to have a conference, a bigger conference next year. 1st of February, if the date is workable, but it's the first week in February. Now, this conference is going to talk more on your financial plan for the whole year. So that will be in depth, and there'll be more guests on that particular one. But as this year winds down, this is time to reflect. So it's time to look over the year, starting from January, and say, how have I done financially? Did you know that you are supposed to, did you know that you're supposed to grow your net worth every year? So when you sit down to look at this year, for example, would you say that your net worth has grown or it has reduced? What do I mean by net worth? What your worth when it comes in terms of assets, what you own. So if you owe more than you own, you have a negative net worth. You have a negative net worth. So you haven't really grown. So if you owe, is a major way, paying down that loan, which I've encouraged you to do, is a major way to grow your net worth. Because what will be happening now is, how do you calculate net worth? Asset minus liabilities, right? So if I have an asset of 1 billion, for example, and I'm owing 800 million, my net worth is 1 billion minus 800 million, which is 200 million. Now, if I reduce that 800 million to 200 million, my net worth now becomes 1 billion minus 200 million, which is 800 million. So, and your net worth is a true metric to know whether you're wealthy or not. And growing it year on year is a true measure of your financial health, whether you are getting richer or poorer. So your targets at this year, as we round off, to one of the ways to boost your finance, which is what we call increase your finances or your net worth, is to pay down what you owe. Pay down what you owe. That should be your only goal. Let all income go into it. If you owe a lot of money, please minimize spending during Christmas and pay your debt. What a lot of people also do is to get into debt in times like this Christmas period. So you see people paying Christmas into April of the new year. These things will keep you poor. Is debt bad? No. Are there good debts and bad debts? Yes. Which one should I go for? Good debt. When should I avoid debt? Lifestyle. We need to change this. You borrow money for it. We need to do this. We borrow more money for it, and blah, blah, blah. That will not build you wealth. You will never build wealth like that. Go and ask any wealthy person. A lot of them avoid loans as much as possible. And these are people who even use loans for business. You are using loan to buy shoe, buy hair, buy car, buy wristwatch, buy phone, buy generator, do wedding, celebrate birthday, pay school fees, pay rent. These are not things you should use a loan for. These are things that your income is meant to cater to because they are needs, not emergencies. They gave you enough notice. So this is it. Can I thrive in this difficult economic time? Yes, you can. Has this year been rough for you? Do you think it's because you got loans or anything? No. This year has been rough only because you didn't structure your finance to cater to the things that would have given you a stress-free year. You didn't cater to it. So you need to create structure in your finance as we approach the new year and round off this year. But you see, if you don't have sessions like this that awakens your consciousness to some of the things we've looked at from the beginning, talking about the history of lending and all of those things, how it came and the future of it, you will not take it seriously. So what you want to do after this session, which is the basic action point, is if I'm in debt, how do I get out? If I'm not, how do I structure so that I never get into it? And then once you structure properly, in the new year, come the new year, we then start to talk about creating a financial plan that helps you build wealth all year round. So that is it. Did we gain something? Questions, feedbacks? Yeah, so Bimbo says debt is good or bad according to usage. What makes a good debt is how you use it. That same debt becomes bad when you don't use it properly. So I think it is more about us, not about the money you're collecting. It's about you, the person using it. How are you using that debt? That's what determines wealth or not. I'm just going to give us the next few minutes for questions, please. If you have questions, this is the time to ask. If you don't have questions, then we will round off. I'm just going to, while I'm waiting for your questions to come in, for the benefit of those who just joined, I will go back just to recap everything that we've talked about, right? So let me just try and do that. We've gone through an extensive discussion on this, and where we started from was about microfinance. We talked about why we're talking about this subject. It's credit and loaning and all of that. So we're looking at the current financial trend, credit system, right? We're looking at the current credit system. Yeah, so don't forget we have the next session tomorrow. Someone says that they're going to tell their family member to attend. Please do. Tell your family and friends to attend, even your enemies. If you have anybody that is always borrowing money from you, tell them to come. They can also watch the replay, but tomorrow's session is going to be another very enlightening session, so make sure you're there. So someone says, I mentioned that I was going to talk about the investment club. So we have a group, I call it an investment club, but because of the type of people who come in initially, what our focus is majorly on education. But eventually you invest, and then hopefully in the nearest future, 2022, we're looking at how we can have group investments and all of that. But what we do is you come in with registration, is not free. You have to pay quarterly or biannually or annually, depending on the package you choose. But while you're there, you have one-on-one sessions every month, and then we talk about different things and all of that. Yeah, it's different things in the group. So when you make payments, my staff should be reaching out to people right now. When you make payments, they're going to reach out to you privately. When you make payments for the club, we add you on. Currently, it's on WhatsApp. We're moving it onto a more robust platform very soon. But when you join in, nothing is missing. We schedule your sessions every month, and there is day-to-day teachings going on there where you can learn how to stay financially, where you stay financially literate, and you can learn different things. And then the icing on the cake is the personal sessions where we create your investment plan, talk about your investing and how you get started. So that's what we do there. So if you're interested in joining us, please reach out. My staff will reach out to you, leave us a message, and they'll reach out to you and all of that. So someone is asking, how do I create a financial structure? I'm a civil servant. You are the perfect candidate. Most business persons will say it's hard to create a financial structure. Yeah, when you are a salary earner or something, you are the perfect candidate. Sit down, calculate. How much do I need to cater to all these needs, current needs, and then the one that is in the future, fixed needs. So you know, sometimes not you don't pay school fees every month, right? And then when you know that I'm going to pay school fees in the next quarter, I'm going to pay a testimonial very soon of a member of the investment club. When she joined, she was in so much debt that she was overwhelmed. Actually, she was really stressed out. But guess what? Today, with what we've taught over the years, few years actually, in 2 years or so, she has paid down all debts. She has a land that she has bought. And guess what? She said that before now, she was telling me the last session I had with her, before now, she could not pay her children's school fees just like that. It will be, she will have to go to the school, beg, buy time, pay small, all those things. But that now, she has it ahead. Why? Structure. Sit down, create your plan. How much do I spend? What comes in? If it's a case of low income, what can I do to grow income? You look at different things, assign percentages. The school fees is 100,000. I put it aside in trickles. And by the time it is due, I have it. The problem is we don't live on a plan. Everybody just spends. And I tell you to choose, financial planning is the way to wealth building. It is your route. Because you see, what a financial plan is like your map. A map will show you how to go from one destination to another. At this stage on the map, you could need to just structure your finance. And then when you have proper structure, where you have created an emergency fund and all of that, the next route could say, to move to the next level of my journey, I need to invest. And then if I need to invest, what are the different investment types? You then begin to put them, you create your buckets. And then when you create your bucket, we research different companies and say, these are the places, these are good companies that you can invest your money. And then you begin. How much do I need to start? They tell you, and then you begin. If you need to save up for it, you begin the savings in a pool called investment accounts. You know, this is how it works. Financial planning is the route to wealth creation, but a lot of people don't do it. And they expect to be wealthy. It won't work. Okay, Jasmine, if you need to tag someone, you need to use the arrow that goes left by the comments. That person won't see it in our comments right now. So use that arrow that goes left, send it to the person. That's how the person can see this. Okay, so I registered for the community in September, had one session, and nothing since then, no WhatsApp conversations. If you've not had any session, you probably are not responding to the staff. We put it on the main handle. If you are in the handle, we put it on the main handle. If you've had any session with me, we put it on the main handle. for you to book your sessions. We can't be chasing you for your session. You have to be the one booking your sessions. So my assistant does that every month. We put it on the handle, ask you to book your session, and then we have it. So Bumi, please reach out for your next session, please. All right, let me see. There was another question I saw. So that's how you structure my planning. Planning. The way to wealth is a certain amount put in an investment vehicle consistently over a period of time. That's what the financial plan will create. Maybe I'll just talk on financial planning tomorrow, I don't know. But we'll be here again tomorrow. If there's no other question, do we have questions on YouTube? Let me stop here. Okay. We have all these people on the hand. Okay, we have different Bumi. Mr. Bumi, please reach out to the person for my assistant for your session, or if you look in the handle, what was the beginning, 1st of November or so, or 3rd of November, we sent out the message. You just need to reach out to her to book your session. Yeah. So different people leverage the investment club in different ways. So, right. Any other questions before we round off today? Please invite people for tomorrow's sessions. Use the link, the repost, add it, whatever you gain, please put it on your handle, tag us, and then, we can spread it. When you have information, like I said, I was in a session with the DG of SEC yesterday. It was a huge opportunity for me, and I was very excited to be in that meeting. It was a closed-down meeting with a few people, and he was talking about the need for financial literacy. So the little you can do to share this with other people so they can learn, the better for everyone. I can guarantee you that when you have this information and you share it with others and we're all rich together, it's better than when you alone are rich and miss poor people. A one rich man in the middle of 10 poor people is a poor person himself, because they will drain you. You must take care of all of them. They're going to drain you and all of that. So we really need to share this with other people so that tomorrow's sessions we have more people. I can see different people on different platforms. I want to thank you for being part of the conference today. It continues tomorrow. Let me see, what's the topic for tomorrow? We have 2 topics tomorrow. I hope I'll be able to do justice to them in the short time that we have. I'll probably bring a guest, but please, to get more information on the investment club, send a message to WhatsApp. So you have a WhatsApp number there. Send a message for your question. It's the same time tomorrow, 11 a.m. Same time tomorrow, 11 a.m. Same time tomorrow. Okay. So I'm glad that I kept the time. It was for 11 to 1, and we are doing that already. Okay, so if you're just joining us, you will need to catch up with the replay. You need to catch up with the replay. If you're just joining us, you need to catch up. The replay will be on IGTV. It will be on Zoom. I'm going to share it if you're on our email list, you get it as well. If you are on YouTube, you can follow our YouTube handle to get it as well. So nothing is missing. And we're going to send it out as a WhatsApp broadcast as well. So thank you very much for coming today. We are using the same link tomorrow. So just click on it and join us. So in the absence of any other question, I wanted to do a recap, but I'm not going to go through that. Everybody should just go and watch the replay. And in the absence of any other question, thank you very much for joining me today. My name is Toya Lassie. I'm the founder of MoneyWise. I'm passionate about financial literacy because I found out that was a gap with me when I was an employee majorly, and I had a lot of income, but I didn't have a lot of results to show. And a lot of people work for years and have nothing to show. That was my case until I learned to budget, until I met with this best friend called financial literacy. And the moment I got out of debt just by budgeting. only budgeting. The moment I learned budgeting, I just found out that, whoa, so this thing exists. And today, this is what I do to equip people with the needed financial education that they need to make wise financial choices day to day, as a matter of fact, because what you do day to day is what accumulates into either success or failure. So if you're making poor financial choices on a daily basis, you will become poor in the future. But if you're making wise, good financial choices, you end up rich. So success is a cumulative result of what we do daily. So my goal is to equip you with what you need to make wise financial choices day to day. So thank you for joining me today. We will continue the sessions tomorrow. I hope I'm able to cover everything I will need to cover tomorrow. Otherwise, we will make sure that you have a good event. Thank you all so much. I am very, 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 very grateful. Until tomorrow, arrivederci.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Zesta. Thank you. Thank you.